Rain pattered softly on the windshield, casting a shimmer across the dark, empty street. Officer Ryan sat in his patrol car, half-eaten sandwich in hand, his K-9 partner, Shadow, curled beside him. It had been a long shift, cold, quiet, and uneventful. He reached for his thermos when he noticed movement outside. A small figure approached, soaked to the bone, arms wrapped tightly around herself. Ryan leaned forward. It was a girl, no older than 8 or 9. Her eyes were wide, tired, and lost. She stopped beside the car window and softly asked, "Can I eat with you?" For a second, the world stood still. Ryan glanced at Shadow, who had already perked up, ears forward, tail wagging slowly. The officer lowered the window a crack, unsure of what he was hearing. The girl's voice trembled. "I'm really hungry." And just like that, the night had changed. Officer Ryan stared at the girl, unsure what to say. Her clothes were tattered, soaked through, and clung to her thin frame. Her small shoes squished with water, and her face looked far older than her years. He saw no one else nearby, no parent, no adult, just her and the storm. Shadow pressed his nose to the window, whining softly. The girl blinked back tears, but her expression remained calm, as if hunger was something she had learned to live with. Ryan hesitated, his mind flipping through the rules and regulations. But this wasn't a moment for protocol. This was something else. He stepped out of the car slowly, shielding her from the rain with his coat. "Are you alone?" he asked gently. She nodded. "Been alone for days." Shadow stepped closer, tail wagging low. The girl smiled at him. "Can he eat too?" she whispered. Ryan's heart tightened. Ryan led her to the diner's bench beneath a flickering street lamp. He unwrapped the rest of his sandwich and broke it in half, handing her the larger portion. She took it hesitantly, as if expecting someone to snatch it away. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Shadow trotted over and gently rested his head in her lap, watching her with calm, intelligent eyes. She smiled, truly smiled, for the first time. "He's nice," she said softly. Ryan sat beside her, letting the silence speak. The girl began eating slowly, savoring each bite as if it were gold. A few moments later, her shoulders trembled, and tears rolled down her cheeks. She tried to hide them, wiping her face quickly, but Ryan noticed. Shadow licked her hand gently, and she hugged him without thinking. In that moment, something unspoken passed between them. Comfort, safety, trust. Ryan felt it too. She told him her name was Lily. Her mother had passed away 2 months ago, and she had no father. No one left, really. At first, she stayed in a shelter, but it was scary. People yelled all the time, and food was never enough. So she ran. Since then, she'd been sleeping in alleys, behind dumpsters, under benches. "Dogs are kinder than people," she said, glancing at Shadow. "They don't ask questions. They just care." Ryan swallowed hard. He'd heard hundreds of stories, seen pain in many forms, but this one pierced differently. Shadow leaned into Lily's side as if he understood every word. Ryan looked at her muddy socks, bruised knees, and the thin jacket barely holding off the cold. How long had she gone unnoticed? How many others had looked away? His chest tightened again. This wasn't just a case anymore. This was a child. And she needed help. As minutes passed, Ryan noticed how Shadow refused to leave Lily's side. The loyal K-9, trained for discipline and duty, now lay at her feet like a guardian angel. He licked her arm, rested his head against her knee, and let out soft, calming grunts when she shivered. Ryan had seen Shadow work with children before, but never like this. There was something different, something deeper. Lily giggled as Shadow nudged her sandwich wrapper playfully. "He likes me," she whispered. Ryan nodded slowly. "He really does." In his gut, Ryan felt a strange certainty growing. Shadow wasn't just being friendly. He was responding to pain, sensing something others might miss. As the girl leaned against the dog, eyes fluttering closed from exhaustion, Ryan knew he had to make a decision. She wasn't safe out here, not one more night. And Shadow had already chosen her. Protocol echoed in Ryan's mind. Any officer finding a child alone must report it immediately. No exceptions. But watching Lily fall asleep with her cheek against Shadow's back, He felt the weight of that rule pressed down like a stone. If he called it in right now, she'd be taken to the nearest shelter. Cold, crowded, and unfamiliar. And Shadow wouldn't be allowed to follow. Ryan stood, hands clenched, mind spinning. He reached for his radio, and then paused. Instead of reporting, he picked up the girl gently and placed her in the back of his warm patrol car. Shadow climbed in beside her, resting his head protectively across her lap. Ryan closed the door softly. The girl didn't stir. He'd never bent the rules before. But tonight, something told him this was the right kind of wrong. He sat behind the wheel and whispered, "Let's get you warm." Inside the station, the atmosphere was different, quiet, calm. Ryan guided Lily to the break room where he found her dry clothes and warmed soup in the microwave. She looked nervous at first, eyes darting around the unfamiliar space. But Shadow walked beside her like a shadow of safety. He stayed at her heels, never more than a breath away. She sat with the blanket wrapped around her shoulders, sipping slowly, her eyes beginning to soften. Ryan offered her a quiet smile and gently brushed a leaf from her tangled hair. "You're safe now," he said. She nodded. Shadow rested on the floor beside her, his tail tapping gently. For once, Lily didn't look scared. Ryan watched her closely, realizing how strong she was despite everything. She didn't need rescue. She needed care, consistency, and love. And somehow, through fate or luck, she'd found two hearts that still had room. Ryan stepped into the hallway, calling a social worker he trusted, off the record. He explained everything. The rain, the bench, the sandwich, the bond between girl and dog. The voice on the other end sighed. The system's packed. It'll be tough to keep her in one place. She may bounce around. Ryan's grip tightened. That's what I'm trying to avoid. Silence followed. "There is one thing," the voice finally said. "You could file for temporary emergency guardianship. It's rare. Risky. But if you're serious..." Ryan looked through the glass window at Lily, now lying peacefully beside Shadow, his big body curled like a blanket around her. "I'm serious," he replied. Everything about it was complicated. But deep down he knew. He'd already made the decision the moment she asked to eat with him. And Shadow had known even sooner. This wasn't just kindness. This was purpose. 2 days later, Ryan stood before his supervisor, forms in hand. He explained everything with calm urgency, the emotional trauma, the K-9's response, the system's condition. The captain raised an eyebrow. "You want to foster her?" Ryan nodded. "Temporarily. Until something better is found." The room fell silent. "Shadow's bonded with her," he added. "I've never seen him like this." The words hung heavy. Finally, the captain signed the form. "You better be ready," he warned. Ryan was. That evening, Lily moved into Ryan's small apartment. She had a warm bed, new clothes, and, most importantly, a sense of belonging. Shadow followed her from room to room like a silent protector. At dinner, she grinned and said, "Can we eat together again?" Ryan laughed, placing her plate beside his. "Always." She looked at Shadow and whispered, "You saved me." And for the first time in a long while, hope felt real. Weeks passed. Lily started smiling more. Laughing. She colored drawings for Ryan's fridge and brushed Shadow's fur every morning before school. Wherever she went, Shadow went too, waiting by the bus stop, sitting near her pillow at night. The bond between them was unshakable. One evening, as the sun set and the kitchen filled with the scent of spaghetti, Lily tugged on Ryan's sleeve. "Officer Ryan?" He turned. "Yeah." She held out her hand. "Can I call you Dad? Someday?" His throat tightened. "Someday," he whispered. "You absolutely can." Shadow barked once, as if in agreement. Later that night, Lily lay beside the German shepherd, her fingers curled in his fur. She leaned close to his ear and whispered, "You're my angel." The screen fades to black, the words appearing in soft gold. Sometimes, a small question opens the door to a whole new life.